Have you ever turned something down for a good reason and then later on something better has come along? I've had many experiences like this and I've learned a lot through self-restraint. This is what I call the self-restraint effect. Stay with me, I'll be right back to let you know how you can revamp your life with a secret game changer. The prefrontal cortex in this area of our brain is responsible for decision making and responding to stimuli, and is proportionally larger and more complex in humans than in other primates. Actually, we are designed to have delayed reactions and not respond immediately to a stimulus. As unbelievable as it may sound, half of our actions are done automatically, simply out of habit. We are unaware of the enormous power that lies in the moments between a stimulus and our response, which can change our whole life. 2 years ago, I was on an exciting vacation with my family on the Mediterranean coast. We were in a beautiful, all-inclusive, upscale resort in a seafront location with a private sandy beach, 3 outdoor pools, an aqua park, and a spa center. Everything was just great. My 1-year-old son enjoyed playing in the pool, and it was my best vacation ever until the 4th day. On the evening of the 4th day, my son came down with a very high fever and dry mouth. He wouldn't eat anything, not even a single drop of milk or water. Until the next morning, whatever we did to try to break his fever was useless. At daybreak, my wife burst into tears gazing at her son. He was extremely lethargic, he was burning up, and his breathing was rapid and shallow. I took him and rushed to the reception desk downstairs. I asked the receptionist if there was a doctor on the premises. The receptionist was a nice girl, and she gently told me, "I'm sorry, sir, but this is the weekend and the doctor is not available in the hotel, but if you like, I can call him to see if he can come." I said, yes, please. Then she continued, "It will cost you $500 and the doctor will be here this afternoon." I just fell apart. I was totally lost and confused. What would I tell my wife when I got back to the room? My son hadn't even urinated since last night due to dehydration, and I wasn't sure if he would survive more than 5 or 6 hours. My first response was frustration, anger, and hatred. We were far away from the town, and I knew there was no hospital nearby, and probably not even a cab to take me there. I was about to scream. I wanted to force them to bring the doctor sooner. I was desperate. But something inside me told me there was another way. Just think of something. You have to save your son. Then I turned to the guest service area and entered the manager's office, disturbed and frantic. She was a sensible middle-aged woman with curly brown hair and glasses. I got straight to the point and explained what had happened. She gently tried to calm me down, and then she said, "There's a hospital 1 hour away, but I know a driver who can take you there through the back streets in half an hour." Then she took a piece of paper and wrote down something. And then she said, "Give this to the doctor. You probably won't find an English-speaking doctor today, so when you find the doctor, give this to him. This is what he needs to know about your son." I took my son to the hospital and handed the piece of paper to the doctor. They immediately took my son back and began treating him for his symptoms. After a few hours of treatment, he recovered. I never found out what was written on that piece of paper, but I think it was not about my son's condition. Anyhow, later I learned that he had contracted a highly contagious infection that could be spread easily in water. I could have lost my control at that moment and done something crazy, which could have led to serious consequences for my family. But I had the responsibility to protect them. Remember, the first or subconscious reaction is not always the best one. Being in control of yourself can bring you two types of rewards, direct and indirect. When you control your appetite, the direct outcome is weight loss. When you get up and go to the gym every day, the direct outcome is a well-shaped body. When you study hard, the direct outcome is better grades. But there are some indirect, latent outcomes as well. These kind of results cannot be measured, but could be experienced. When you are faithful to your spouse, your life will be happier and less stressed. You don't know exactly how, but you will. Just to make it clear, being faithful to your wife does not mean that you can watch your favorite TV program on the weekend. You shouldn't expect an immediate or direct impact. We don't live in a linear world. It's highly nonlinear and complex. Let me give you some more examples from the nonlinear and indirect outcomes. When you're honest with your employer, better job opportunities will come your way. When you are honest with your customers, your brand will be better positioned and you'll end up with a higher profit margin. When you donate to charity, you'll experience more abundance. You don't know exactly how and when, but you will. And when you help others out of the goodness of your heart, you'll receive help when you're in need. The universe will reward you for your endurance and your self-control. This is a give and take world. We go through a little pain in the short term to receive a big gain in the long term. And this is the whole idea behind financial investment as well. It works in exactly the same way. You invest your money now to make some profit in the future. You don't expect your assets value to double overnight. It might even depreciate in the short run, but you have to wait until it reaches its projected value. Otherwise, you'll lose. How long you can endure is the main difference between winners and losers. You might have heard about the marshmallow experiment. In 1972, some preschool children were given one small marshmallow. And then they were told that if you can wait and hold off for 15 minutes before eating it, you will get an extra marshmallow. And then they individually were left alone in a room. Nearly 75% of the children didn't wait 15 minutes and ate the single marshmallow within an average of 9 minutes. The interesting part is that when researchers did some follow-up studies several years later, they found that the children who were able to wait longer had better educational achievements, better SAT scores, lower body mass index, and were better off in general. You might ask, is it possible to improve my self-restraint? The answer is absolutely yes, and I'll let you know how to do so at the end. But the good news for the ones who feel it's very difficult for them to control themselves and might easily succumb to the temptation is you'll be rewarded much more. Why is that? Because the weaker you are in controlling yourself, the more energy and effort you have to put into it. So you have to sacrifice more. And the more you sacrifice now, the more you'll be rewarded in the future. It's as simple as that. Look at this graph. It shows that the more difficult it is for you to endure, the greater your reward. And please note that difficulty is not absolute, but relative. It means that if you and your friend are in the same situation and both of you are going through a difficult time, you won't end up with the same results. The universe does not care about your situation. It cares how firmly you stand, how hard you fight, and how confidently you push forward. When you do your best, the universe will return it back to you. Now, what is the best way to improve your self-restraint? I'll give you a takeaway tool. Use it and change your whole way of living. The most effective tool is to think of the end of your chain of actions. When you want to respond to a stimulus, and take an action, just think of what will happen next, and next, and next. Then you'll come up with a potential outcome that will happen if you take that specific action right now. If it's not what you want, imagine what you really want at the end. Then go backward step by step to see how differently you should act now. So you need to visualize the future based on current possible alternatives and then adjust your actions accordingly. Experience the self-restraint effect, revitalize your life, and get happier. Thank you.